Okay, now, so we will understand about in-depth summary of virtualization and cloud. So virtualization is a technology that allows us to create multiple virtual versions of physical computing resources like servers, storage, and networks. Instead of using separate physical machines for different tasks, we can run multiple virtual environments, that is called virtual machines or VMs, on a single physical machine. This improves efficiency, reduces the cost, and provides flexibility. I will also tell you the key components of virtualization. Number one is hypervisor, that is virtual machine monitor, VMM. It is a software layer that manages and allocates physical resources to the VMs. For example, VMware ESXi, Microsoft Hyper-V KVM. Second is the virtual machine, that is VM. It is a software-based emulation of physical computer. Each VM runs its own operating system and applications independently in virtual machine. Third one is resource pooling. It combines physical resources like CPU, RAM, storage into a shared pool for better utilization. Number four is isolation. VMs operate separately, so issues in the VM do not affect the others. Now, we'll tell you the types of virtualization. Number one is server virtualization. It divides one physical server into multiple VMs. For example, VMware and Hyper-V. Second is desktop virtualization. It hosts user desktop on a central server. For example, virtual desktop infrastructure, that is VDI. Number three, network virtualization. It creates virtual networks independent of physical hardware. For example, software-defined networking, that is SDN. Number four, storage virtualization. It combines multiple storage devices into a single virtual storage pool. And number five is application virtualization. It runs applications in isolated environments that, for example, Docker containers. Now, this was all about the types of virtualization. Now, we'll go to the hypervisors and their types. First of all, the functions of hypervisors are to allocate the resources to VMs and to support different guest operating systems. The types are, number one, bare metal, that is the type 1, which is installed directly on a hardware, for example, VMware, ESXi, and Hyper-V. The second one is hosted, that is type 2, that runs on top of an existing operating system, for example, Oracle VirtualBox, VMware workstations. Now, I will tell you the uses of virtualization. Number one, client-side virtualization. It is required for running multiple operating systems on a single PC. For example, testing software, using legacy applications, etc. Number two, server-side virtualization. It is for better hardware utilization in data centers. Number three is application virtualization. It is for installing software on a server and streaming it into the users. Number four, container virtualization. It is for running the application in lightweight, isolated workspace. For example, Docker Kubernetes. Now, virtualization security requirements. For guest operating security, keep virtual machine updated with the patches. For rob VMs, prevent unauthorized VMs for running. Host security, it protects the physical server from the failures. Hypervisor security ensures the hypervisor is secured to prevent VM escaping where VM breaks isolation. Now we'll learn about the summary of the cloud computing. Cloud computing delivers computing services like storage, servers, database, networking, and software over the internet. Instead of owning physical hardware, businesses rent these services from cloud providers. Cloud characteristics. I will tell you about them in a very brief way so that it can be summarized. Number one is on-demand self-service, where users can provision resources automatically. Number two, broad network access, where services are available over the internet. Number three is resource pooling, where multiple users share the same physical resources. Number four is a rapid elasticity, where resources can scale up or down as needed. Number four is measured service, where you pay only for what you use, that is the metered billing. However, we are comparing the cloud on premises and hosted services as well. So this is a very important topic. You may get few questions on this in your interviews or also in your A+ examination. Here, an on-premises company owns and manages its own servers. In host services, a third-party provider manages services or servers for the company. In cloud services, resources are rented from cloud provider. Like example, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud are the major cloud service providers. We already understood about the shared responsibility model. I will take you a quick tour on that. For the summary, in shared responsibility model, one is cloud provider, which manages physical security, network, and infrastructure. Number two is customer, where it manages data, applications, and user access. So now we'll understand about the types of cloud deployments. I will summarize it like one is private cloud, which is used by a single organization, which has more control and higher cost. Public cloud is the second option, where the service is provided over the internet, for example, Azure or AWS. Number three is hybrid cloud, where it combines private and public cloud for flexibility. Now we will understand about the CapEx and OpEx in cloud computing. I will brief you like capital expenditure CapEx if the upfront spending on physical infrastructure. If you are busy building an infrastructure in your offices or premises, like for buying the servers, etc., it cost reduces over time. It's a one-time expenditure. Once you have invested your money on the servers, you don't have to invest on that again and again. And the second one is the operational expenditure, OpEx. This is the pay-as-you-go model. For example, monthly cloud service billing. If you are using any services from the cloud service providers, you will be billed on monthly basis. So here there is no upfront cost. Billed is based on the usage. Here, whatever services that you are using, if you are using the storage space, if you are using the VM services, if you are using the network services, anything that you use, you will be billed on that only. So there will be no extra billing or no extra cost on any of the services that you are not using. Now, the cloud service model. As we have already understood about the cloud service model, so I will also brief you. Number one is infrastructure as a services, that is IaaS. It means to rent the virtualized hardware like server, storage, and networking. For example, AWS EC2, Azure virtual machines, etc. Now the second one is platform as a services, where it provides tools to develop, test, and deploy application without managing the infrastructure. For example, Azure App Services, Google App Engine, etc. Now the third one is software as a services. It is ready to use application over the internet. For example, Microsoft 365, Gmail, Salesforce, etc. Very important, that is Microsoft Azure Cloud Services. Azure is a Microsoft cloud platform offering various services like computing, storage, and networking. I will tell you about the Azure architectural components, which is Azure regions, that is physical data centers located worldwide. There are 60 plus regions. Number two is it helps reduce latency and comply with data residency laws. Number two is availability zones. Here, multiple data centers in a region for high availability. There will be more than one data center in a region to ensure if there is a downtime in one server or one region or in a one particular place, the other data centers which are there in the nearby region or in the same region will be available to use. Second is it protects against failure such as independent power, cooling, and networking. Paired regions. Here, two regions separated by at least 300 miles for disaster recovery. So if there is any disaster that happens in a particular area or region, the other will be safe. The other server will be safe enough to use. Now, Azure resources. Components like VMs, software storage, and networks are the Azure resources. Now, resource group. It is containers to manage related Azure resources together. Azure subscription is billing and access control boundaries for Azure services. Now, we will understand about the Azure Compute Service. Number one is Azure Virtual Machines. Here, the infrastructure as a services offering where users can create and manage VMs in the cloud. Number two, Azure App Services. It is a platform as a service for building and hosting web application without managing the servers. Number three is Azure Virtual Networks, that is VNet. It connects Azure resources securely, that is public private endpoints and subnets. Azure Storage Services, which provides scalable cloud storage, that is BLOBS, files, and this. It supports redundancy, that multiple copies of data for safety. Now, Azure Active Directory. This is also a very important topic. Azure Active Directory is also called AAD and also known as Entra ID. It is a cloud-based identity and access management. It features like single sign-on, that is SSO, user authentication, and device management. So I will conclude this summary part by saying that this module covered virtualization, creating virtual versions of physical resources, and cloud computing, that is delivering services over the internet. Here, the key points are virtualization improves efficiency by running multiple VMs on one machine. Also, cloud computing offers flexibility, scalability, and cost savings. Azure providers various services like VMs, storage, and networking for cloud solutions. So understanding these concepts helps in managing IT resources efficiently, whether on-premise or cloud. Now we will create the demo in our lab. We'll create the users in the Entra ID on Azure environment. Till then, thank you very much and have a great day.